Hey everybody, it's Ed, and the future is now. And the future is 9 days in a row going up, and today taking a dive. Down 1900 and made some, I wouldn't say bad trades. I didn't play them right. And we're going to analyze the data and show you where my mistakes come from. Okay. So before we get into it, make sure to smash the like button. And if you like me taking a beating today, I've been kind of on fire and kind of deserve to get punished one of these times. So I basically stuck my leg in a bear trap and I basically had to weasel my way out of it. And I got cut up pretty bad, in the situation. So what happened was, well, first of all, I had a mistake in the actual platform this morning where when it switches over from pre-market to actual market, it kind of has a lag on Schwab. And yesterday it lagged. I didn't think much of it because I didn't have anything on right at the moment. And then I purchased something in and it was kind of lagging. And I was like, oh my God, I got to switch it out. So I basically had to reboot the system, get back on. And by the time I got back on, I wasn't in a bad situation. It just wasn't as high as kind of I expected. So I bought in pretty high at around 500 or somewhere in that range. I can't remember exactly. And then it caved even further. Like in aftermarket yesterday, it ran all the way up to 545 or 550. So I thought, I'm pretty good at about that 500 support, right? Yeah, not right. And then it smashed all the way down into the 495 support. And I was like, okay, that's perfect. Now we'll be able to cost average at about 498 or so. And so I did another 50 shares. So then I had 100 shares in Tesla. Okay, that was about 50,000. And then, so every share basically is, every dollar is basically 100. So that's pretty severe at this point. Okay, and then it pumped up, and I had a chance to actually make a profit and kind of duck out, but it started storming up. And the last time, actually, the last three times I did this, it kept storming up, storming up, and storming up. And I guess I was just complacent on that. I was thinking it was going to kind of do the same thing, but we're in a little different situation here. So anyway, I kicked back down and I was down maybe, a few hundred, 200 to 500, and then it caved. Then it put me into a spot. And I was like, okay, well, this is great. And I hovered basically down 1,000 for about 2 hours. And I was like, okay, let me think. Should I add another 100 shares? And I'm like, you know what? If it falls another 5 or 10 a share, I'm going to hammer another 100 shares. So sure enough, it finally cracked the 490, and then I bought in at 480. Yes, that's correct. So, but I bought in, 100 shares at that point. So now I have 200 shares, but the cost average put it at about 490 flat. So I was like, okay, no problem. I'm pretty solid here. If we just get one bounce on the SPY, we should be okay. Well, we weren't okay at that level either. And it started caving even further. And I was like, okay, now I'm going into the hole pretty bad. I mean, at one point, I think I was down about 4,000. Okay. So now I'm playing it again. Like, okay, what are my options at this point? We're back to cost-based averaging potentially, or, waiting for a bounce and ducking out, or holding over into tomorrow. I'm sorry, into Monday, which is pretty dangerous either way. So it was like, wow, I'm really kind of stuck here. So, I mean, I was literally stuck in a bear trap with no way to go. Okay. Can't call any help. So I actually posted a comment in the community like, hey, I'm stuck in a bear trap. But anyway, and I got some good suggestions on that from a few people. Real Truth was talking to me all day today, and he was doing some trades too as well. And we were kind of going over them basically while I was taking a beating going down. But anyway, so it finally bounces, okay? And the SPY finally bounces, and Tesla finally bounces. And I was like, okay, so where's my cut point? Okay, where do I have to get to? So I was down about Okay, and I'm basically, I'm conceding that I was going to not profit today. There was almost no way I was going to get back to 500 a share today. It just wasn't going to happen. So I was, accepting that concept. So, where was I going to cut it? What type of loss was I willing to handle? So I basically was like, you know what, if I cut it in half about, or if it comes up and touches the 480, I'll just chuck it at the 480 mark. And sure enough, it came up to 480, touched it, and honestly, it's at 480 right now. It bounced around sideways. You can see it bouncing sideways for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, about 50 minutes, it's been bouncing sideways. This is the 5 minute period chart, and you can see it. It's trying to pump up a little bit. I mean, you got to figure there was people that bought in, after market yesterday at 520, 530, 540. I mean, I really feel their pain right now, especially if that was their entry point into Tesla. So, but anyway, we ducked out, so I just ate it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat the 2000 loss. We've been up I think about 9,000 in the last 7 days, or I think it was about eight. I'm sorry, about 1,000 a day, 900 a day. Sorry. So I'm like, okay, 2,000, no big deal. My streak is over. So be it. Okay, I'm not getting greedy. I'm not getting stupid. I'm cutting my losses. You have to know when to cut your losses. All right. So, what's the lesson learned here? Okay. Where were my mistakes? I mean, I figured we were talking about the flags, and I figured it would flag up, which, it did, but it took a really dippy flag move. Okay. But that usually is, it usually has a bounce after the fact. But this one didn't get much of a bounce at all. It was pretty much just selling off. It sold off for hours. So I basically over anticipated that move a little bit for one. I overcommitted a little bit too early. Like I probably should have waited for the first 50 buy until the second circle on the left. I probably should have waited for the first buy and then even waited longer for the second buy. Okay, but I got a little impatient. So impatience is one too, especially with day trading because you're watching it constantly. It's very easy to get impatient when you're watching it, minute by minute or 5 minute by 5 minute or whatever. So, but anyway, going into Monday, we have no idea. I mean, the positive things that could happen, I can think of two. And one being that the oil situation between Saudi Arabia and Russia they could maybe formulate some sort of plan of attack of what they want to do. And if that comes across, then Monday that's going to spike the markets. So that will spike Tesla. So Tesla will be back to 500 or 510 or whatever. But if that doesn't happen, or then it may keep heading downward. So not too sure at this point. But the other possible bullish thing is, we still have a lot of positive, Tesla activity based on their sales. Obviously, that didn't make the world of a difference. They only ended up about, well, I mean, we still have a few more minutes in the trading day, but they're basically up 5% right now. In aftermarket, they were all the way up to 20%. So they lost 15% from aftermarket. I'm sorry, from aftermarket to uh, to now basically, and that's a crazy drop. So I mean, either everybody was just taking all the profits off, or there was a ton of shorts that jumped in on top. So that's a possibility too. You can have a bunch of shorts, throwing in at the top as well, or it could be a combination. So, I mean, who knows really what is going on? I mean, I'm not the puppet master with the strings here. Those are the financial institutions. So, but anyway, I hope you guys liked the video. I wanted to keep it quick, but I want to show you guys that, I mean, I make mistakes just like everybody. I try to make the fewest mistakes and I try not to be punished severely for the mistakes that I do make. So that's important too. You've got to be prepared to cut your losses and not just hold long forever, not just hodl everything, or you're going to get punished even worse. I mean, if it gaps down like 20 or 30 points, let's say hypothetically, then I would be down another 4,000. So instead of being down 6,000 potentially, I'm only down 2,000 or whatever. So I'm just trying to, strategy it, um, make the best strategy in this situation. So you can see it's hanging that 480. That 480 is proving to be now a resistance. You can see it hit the 2 bars, and it hit the 2 bars, and now it's kicking back down. Granted, we still have five. We have one more. We have one more bar, and the day is done. So I don't think you're going to see any more crazy action in Tesla today. So that's the story. And I hope you guys liked the video, and be sure to subscribe and like and share it with anybody you want. And we will see you tomorrow.